Hey, here's your heads up to this podcast. Would you like to turn your dreams into reality? Would you like to know the 5 steps that create reality from your dreams? Would you like to know the 5 steps that stop your dreams becoming wishes and whoosh away? Because if that's important to you, of interest to you, and you want your dreams to become reality, have a listen after this. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, you are back with me for I don't know how long, but I want to talk about turning your dreams into reality. You see, I love dreams. I love dreamers and people who create their reality from their dreams seem to be successful. They seem to be curious. They just seem to have a bloody good time. Now, the thing about turning your dreams into reality is, first of all, let's look at the negative side. Why don't dreams, I'll say that again, why don't dreams always become true? That's a good question, isn't it? Because do dreams always come true? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if you're like me, maybe you can think back over the past and the dreams you've had, and they're still out there somewhere. Nothing happened. And you see, I wanted to look a little bit deeper into this to start off with. So, what's the definition of a dream? To imagine something that you would like to come true. And it could be also what you don't want to have happen, couldn't it? It's a sort of dream, isn't it? Not the dream we're thinking about, the positive dreams, but we do have these type of dreams of the things that we don't want to have happen. And then you get that conflict going on. Because really what you're saying is what you'd like to have happen, but you think about the negative first. But it's just the imagination. Imagining, but listen to one particular word in that definition. To imagine something that you would like to come true. You see, to me, the word like, yeah, that's a little bit positive. Well, it's obviously positive, but doesn't have any real power, does it? You like it. Yeah, there's so many things. How many things would you like to have happen? I'd like it to be sunny today, but it's blooming December in the UK. I'd like it to be warm. Has nothing, does it? One thing about like, I guess, and this is what I was thinking was, it doesn't translate into a feeling. And if it doesn't translate into a feeling, there is no motivation for me. It doesn't actually get you going, does it? You don't get anything from it, nothing at all. So if you like, or if you dream of liking something to happen, You imagine that you like it to happen. What's the chances? To me, my weird notes was, it's a little bit like gossip. You're talking about stuff that means nothing. And to me, we'd all I'd like to go out tonight. But will I? I'd like to meet my friends. Yeah, I'll find something else to do. I'd like to. And this is a little bit of my personal stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that I still have dreams of. And I'm just noticing that maybe they've stopped at this. Well, I'd like to do that. It goes a little bit deeper than that, but not much deeper. And I think that's why they're staying where they're staying. They haven't become my reality. So, what's this all about, Cluffy? The 5 steps to turning your dreams into reality. All you've told me is dreams don't come true. Well, they do, but they don't. But they do if you follow these 5 steps. So, here's the thing. To change a like, the thing you dream about, will it ever happen if you just like it? Well, there's yes and no, I guess. Because yes, it won't happen, if that makes sense. Yes, it won't happen. If it just remains a like, a wish. Because what happens to wishes? To me, they just fade. They whoosh. Even the sound, whoosh. Because they're random. And it's missing something. They're random, they're general. They have no, as I said, they have no emotion attached to them. Not a deep emotion where you feel, I really want that. It's whoosh. But no, they won't disappear if you follow this. Because the one thing it's missing is action. Now, just taking action doesn't work. Because again, that's too random. What do you mean, Cluffy, too random? Because you have to have the first very step of your action is to know what you bloody want. Changing that dream into a goal. And what's a goal? A goal is an outcome, an aim in mind, you see. A goal, or knowing what you want, becomes more specific, doesn't it? Where do you want this thing to happen? When do you want it to have, or have happened? In what context? Because it's not just in every context, because that's, again, we've come away from specificity, that lovely word I love to use. It's gone back into general. So we've got to get into a specific context. So it could be in my career. It could be in my hobbies. It could be the things I love to do, the things I love to do with people, my relationships, my health, my fitness, my spirituality. There's all these different segments, as it were, the roles that you have in your life. Which particular context do you want this goal to have happened? And how do you want it to have happened? And that's a bit we sometimes miss as well. The how. Not the how do you do it, we'll do that in a minute. But how would you like it to be? Specifically. Whew, Cluffy, that's a lot. No, it isn't. It isn't a lot. Because we're taking this dream and we're going to put some handles on it so you can hold it, you can feel it, you can grip it, grasp it. And when you do that, you begin to listen and hear and resonate with you. And you're going to start to just see what you want. And that's the point of it. We start with Imagineering. So it's a little bit like the definition, imagining something that you would like to have happen. Now you're going to imagine something that you expect to happen. And that's the difference from like to expect. Can you see that you can feel the difference when you listen? I'd like that to happen. I expect that to happen. Totally different. So that's when you do your Imagineering. But you need to write that goal down. So this is what I want specifically. This is where I want it. This is when I want it. In what context? How, and we're going to do the how in a minute. And we've done some of this. We have a well-formed outcome. We've got that in the hypnosis and NLP processes at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Go there, you'll get it. We've talked about these things. And I'm going to go, I will probably keep talking about them because I'll always explain it in a different way, but also it's so important to remind ourselves. So when you get that specific and that specificity of the where, the when, the what, we go to the how, and that's when you imagine it. Imagine it just the way you want it to have happened. You don't need to work out, well, it might not, I don't know how to do it. I don't care about the how at the moment. I want you to imagine as it's happening now. how you want it to be, not how you're going to do it. That make sense? And again, we've done this on quite a few episodes. All I want you to do is just imagine, are you over there doing the thing that you want in the place where you want it, with the people you want to do it with, at the time you want to do it, and in that specific context. So we've taken that specificity and put it into your Imagineering now. Now it's getting real. Well, a real imagination, Imagineering. And as you see yourself over there, make sure that's how you'd like to look, how you'd like to be seen walking, talking, listening. And when you get it, just imagine floating out into that you over there, into that you, doing the what in that context, doing in that time with those people you want to do it with, in that specific context. Everything about it. Look through your own eyes as if you're there now. You've achieved your goal. This is it. This is the successful completion of that goal that you're going to be working on in a moment. Looking through your own eyes, see what you'll see, hear what you'll hear, and feel that feeling. Even see the pictures that you make in your mind as you're in this successful completion. Hear that inner voice, the way you talk to yourself, the beliefs you have in that successful completion. And when you really get all of that, feel that feeling. And when you feel it, set an anchor. So whether it's one of those fingers and thumbs squeezing together when you feel that feeling, touching your wrist in a special way, or a knuckle, when you feel that feeling intensely, set that anchor by squeezing that finger and thumb together, touching that it's a unique touch. That's all it has to be. And say a word that really represents the motivation and your value for having this. So the two fire together. What fires together, wire together, remember. And just set this anchor. Maybe just let it go for a moment and then really feel it again. As you feel it again, set that anchor again. Touch that unique place with that unique touch. Say that word. Maybe just do it 5 times, 3 times. Really get it. And see, now what you're doing is setting the feeling, or anchoring the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Whoa, we're back there now. Absolutely. And now when you get that, just get a night, you've done some little bit, you've either thought about the where, the when, the what, and things like that. Now I want you to write it down. And as you write it down, just fire that anchor off, say that word, so you really are putting down exactly what you want and how you're going to feel. It doesn't have to be pages and pages, but it can be, but you don't have to. Even if it's only just 2 sentences. This is what I want, this is when I want it, and this is the context where it's going to apply. Just to refocus your mind. And then maybe just write that power word in, that anchored word. So even when you just read it, fires off that feeling. Maybe you put the two together again, just to remind yourself. Fire off the anchor, touching that unique spot with that unique touch, and say that word. That's the very first step. Step 1. Know what you want. But we've taken that further than before now, because we've imagined it. And now it feels real. But also, you know that you haven't got it. Because if you stayed there, your unconscious mind might think, because it can't tell really the difference between reality and imagine, you might think, well, we've already got it, we're not going to do it. But now you've written it down to say, this is where I'm going, this is when I want it, this is how I want to feel. And so the second action point then is, take action on a plan. So you have to action a plan. You have to imagine a plan, work out a plan. How do you do that? We've talked it a few times now. But I'll quickly remind us all, start from the end. You've got that end, which is that feeling of the wish fulfilled, just as you just imagined it, and just say to yourself, what has to happen just before that to ensure that that ending happens? And what has to happen to just before that to ensure that step happens, to ensure the last step happens? And work your way back. So now you've got a series of steps right back to right now. The writing down. You can say, well, this is the first step I've ever done. I've written it out exactly what I want in pure specificity. I've imagined it. My next step will have to be this in order to, and it's like, say a domino rally, isn't it? We're going to then tip over the first domino. And you've set those dominoes on a piece of paper now. Because if you don't write it down, what happens? You forget it. Write those steps down, because then you can schedule them. Because you look at that, you say, I could do that all in a week. Nah, can you though? What about other stuff you got to do? Just make sure that you've got the right amount of time. Don't give yourself too much time and let yourself off the hook, but give yourself the right amount of time that if you really put the effort in, you could probably just beat it a little bit, but not daft enough to think, well, the first few steps and then you're behind program, because then that's disappointing, demotivating. I want you to win and win with every domino you're going to knock down. So you've now got those steps in mind, and then you schedule them into your diary. But make sure that the steps are the smallest next step you can take, keeping this wonderful feeling in mind. Fire off the anchor, say that word, and commit it to your week. So maybe on a Sunday you look at what you've got to do. There might be some really other important things to do. You might have to go to work, you might have to do this, you might have to look after people, but I've got this time free. This is how I'm going to do it on that step. Commit it, schedule it, block it out. Do whatever you need to do to say, that's what I'm going to do on Wednesday afternoon or whatever it is. That's what I'm going to do. And at the weekend, I'm going to look back. And that's step 3, taking action of being aware of your progress. Because you can measure your progress. What gets measured gets done. That's an old saying. I don't even know if I got it right. But you measure your progress. Did I achieve the steps I wanted to do? As you look back over the week, did you on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, did you do that work? Yes, I did. Actually did a bit more. Awesome. So I'm slightly ahead of program. So next week, I've got to change the steps. But maybe I'm a little bit behind program. So now I've got to ramp it up a little bit. Or just say to myself, actually, you know what, Cluffy? You put too much down last week. It was never going to happen. It was like a wish, and it wished away. Now let's get it properly, because now we know how long these things take. So we can now reschedule, recommit. You may find when you review that you're completely off course because you decided to do something and it had no effect whatsoever. In fact, when you look at it, it wasn't really that relevant. So you review. You notice where you're going and you recommit. So we're now actually going back to number 2 while we do number 3. But guess what? We're also keeping number 1 in mind. The goal, because if we don't know the goal, we won't be able to notice our progress. So they're all linked together. They keep coming, and you keep firing off the anchor to know that where you're going. But here's the thing. You do your review. And then what happens? You notice you have to do something different, or you have to carry on. But, and there's a but here, we'll call it and. Step 4, take action to be flexible. Because if you're slightly off target, maybe you've taken a step to the left instead of to the right, the right step. You have to be flexible enough to realize what you've reviewed dictates that you need to change your steps, reschedule, recommit, change your course. There's the old metaphor that everyone uses, and I'm going to no exception to the rule, is an aeroplane is generally, I have to say generally, only in the right place or the right direction twice in its flight. Once when it takes off and once when it lands. In between, they're constantly assessing where they are and moving a little bit because of the winds. You don't know what's going to happen. Something might blow you off course. Part of the metaphor. So you have to be flexible to maybe put more time in, less time. Maybe you need to readjust your time. Maybe you need to do, whatever. Make sure you're coming, is every step along the way in relation to the goal, because sometimes they're not. And you see, when you're flexible like this and taking the action of flexibility, I think you become single-minded, but not tunnel-visioned, because people who are tunnel-visioned, they don't see that they're off kilter. They don't see they're not actually pointing at the bloody aim in mind, the result, that feeling of the wish fulfilled, that goal, that successful completion of this. And they're so tunnel visioned, they miss everything that's going on. They may even miss opportunities that you've attracted by having this feeling of the wish fulfilled, by putting yourself on this trajectory. Opportunities come your way, and you might go, do you know what? If I'm flexible enough to take that opportunity, I'm going to leapfrog myself into the next thing. Or actually, guess what? I thought I wanted this, but I've now seen something better. Because we always say this or something better, and here's something better. I can now readjust. So now I'm flexible and I can measure it, and I've got it's so good. But here's the thing. What other action do you have to take? Well, with every step that you take, you have to set your intention before you take that step. So before you do anything in accordance with this goal, set your intention, which is, this is what I want to achieve. Remind yourself of that goal. Step 1. Fire off that anchor. Say that word. And act as if. We've talked about act as if, and that's only a couple of episodes ago. And it was, what happens when you can't act as if, or it stops you. Listen to that. It's only a couple away. And when you act as if, because you can act as if, because you've seen it in your imagination. That very first exercise, when we imagined having that successful completion, you know how it felt to act because you got into your own body over there. And if you act as if, everything else will fall in place. Because that's what you do. You see, you cannot fail to get a result here. If you follow these 5 simple steps, write them down, review them, just rewind to the beginning of this podcast or wherever it just started, and just put those steps down. And I'm going to go over them one more time. So if you want to just get a pen and paper, and you can write these down or just record them on your phone. But whatever happens, if you follow these steps, these 5 steps to changing your dreams into reality, you cannot fail to get a result. And the thing is, it's infectious. What's infectious, Paul? Success. You start doing this and you feel successful. You will be successful. And that becomes a habit. And what does practice make? No, it doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And you start to use this good practice. Guess what? You get to get good habits. And they become, there's quite a few things happen, but here's a couple. They become unconscious, because that's what a habit is. You don't have to think about doing a habit. It just happens. Consciously, you start it off. It goes into your unconscious, where you become a master of it, knowing what to do, doing what you know, and it becomes permanent, a permanent habit. And then what happens? Well, you've done this for a wish or a dream, but now it begins to generalize into different areas of your life. So maybe this was about a goal you had, but now something happens at work, in your career, and someone has a project, and you go, I know, naturally, what we need to do is establish where we're going, what we want to achieve. Oh, establish the goal. When do we want it? Where? With whom? What's the result we want? When do we want it? Let's just imagine it for a moment. Ooh, step 1. Then you take action. Schedule it, commit it, make a plan, make a program. And then you have to review it, don't you? And this just becomes a natural way of being. And so from this one thing, working with your dreams, and I want you to get your dreams. I really do. I want to encourage you to live and breathe having dreams. Dreamers make a difference. And there's no failures. You always get a result. And you can learn from everything you do, because that's the whole point about being flexible and reviewing. And there's nothing to fear from this, because you're in control. And forget about imposter syndrome, and all that stuff, because you're unique. No one is like you. They can't tell you anything. You are unique, and you're doing what you want to do, and you're going to change the world. So those steps: know what you want. What is your goal? 2, take action, intuitive, massive, continued action. 3, become aware where you are, where you're going, how much you've achieved. 4, be flexible so you can change your approach if needed. And 5, act as if, using what we call the psychology and physiology of excellence, that thing that you imagined, the way you imagined it. And with every step, set your intention and fire that anchor. You won't find this anywhere else. Not this way, not this complete way. Now, the thing is, if there's anything stopping you in any of those steps, Because you can say, well, they're all pretty simple, Paul, but I just can't get it. I'm procrastinating on something, or I'm getting some anxiety, or I'm a bit unconfident about that, or I've got this bloody imposter syndrome on this part. Let me know. Let me know what steps you're having problems with and what type of feelings. Email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And what I'll do is I'll obviously send you a personal reply, because I'm the only bugger here who gets that email. I'll send you a personal reply with some thoughts, but I'll also create an episode effectively just for you, which is for me, which is for everyone else. It's all there. And it's a little bit like the problem with when act as if doesn't work, how to do it. And that's just been out a few weeks ago, or it's not even a couple of weeks. But that'll start to get you sorted. But if you send me that email, if there's any issues you have in any of this, because I want your dreams to come true, let me know. And we will get it sorted together. I will help you get it sorted together. Because that's what this podcast is all about. Me sharing with you, you sharing with me, and both of us sharing with everyone else. And it goes into this integrated field of learning that we talk about, where when we give stuff out into it, we still keep it, what we shared. But other people get it, and they'll come back with us with a different, maybe interpretation or some more intuitions on it. And you go, wow, it's even richer. I've got 2, 3, 4 different ways of doing things now. And then that'll fire off my intuition. That's what it's all about. Changing the world by changing ourselves. There you go. A little soapbox. I'd just get off it now. But please do that. And obviously, if there's any other issues, let me know. Guide me, if you wish, or if you will. Guide me into the directions that you'd like me to find ways, processes to get over those issues, to remove them, to let them go, to actually get your dreams, to be who you want to be, to find your real voice. And finding your real voice is really, I was thinking about this the other day, and we'll talk about it sometime, is finding who you really are, to be the real you. And when you just think about it now, being the real you, and feel it, that's where we're going. Uniquely you. Be a little bit weird. I'll talk about that again, because I love that term, being weird and unique. And that's a subject that we desperately need from everybody. And I'll talk about it sometime in the future, not too far. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Probably not as long as a normal longer podcast. I can't see, because I can't see what I'm recording. I'm just chatting away to you. But I hope there's some golden nuggets. I'm sure there is. Let me know if I didn't explain it to you as succinctly, elegantly, and eloquently as I wanted to. That was my intention. But if I haven't, let me know, again with the same email address, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And because I need to learn. I'm continually and consistently trying to learn to get better in anything and everything. And this is one avenue, one context. So do that. Please, if you got golden nuggets, again, you can let me know what they were, but also share them. Share them with somebody else. Explain it to somebody else. If you explain it yourself and share this podcast with them, you will get to learn it even better, because you'll understand how much you learn, how much you know. You might have to dive back in again, but you'll understand maybe the things you weren't quite as clear, and you'll become clearer. But do share this episode, if you would. Share it to everyone, because it'll make a difference to everyone. And they'll thank you for it. You'll be big if you do that. Big in all senses. So please do that. Please share. What did we say? What else is there? We've got feedback. We've had sharing. Well, just enjoy yourself. Have fun. In fact, have more fun than you can stand. Until the next time, my friend, I will see you here, right here, to listen. And hopefully you will put this into practice, because it's my last little soapbox. Just listening to this and knowing it means nothing. It really doesn't. I don't really care how much you know this, because it's not going to happen. I want you to do this and be this and create those dreams into reality, because that's pure mastery. You have to take action. Do what you know and know what you do. That's real mastery. So go be a master. It's time to fly, my friends. See you later.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.